So my name's Luke Palmer. Graffiti art is where I've come from. KC1 is my name, my street artist name. And a little while ago I was asked to do this presentation, and I thought 15 minutes seems like a long time. And now I'm stood here and it feels maybe even longer. But I like to talk about it, so it may even go on a little longer. Well, I'll try and keep it brief. So you guys sent me the Designer Against Crime Greening, not cleaning graffiti wall paper, which was an interesting read. But something really stuck out for me, which was the question right at the beginning, which is what comes first, the intention to paint or the temptation provided by a clean wall? It was a very interesting question. If I had no intention to paint the wall, then the wall would stay clean, surely. But I have had the intention to paint the wall for the last 20 odd years. And so it's really, for me, I think about how you handle that temptation and what you do with that temptation and that desire to paint the wall that really makes the difference. So what I'm going to do is show you through a bit of a slideshow. I'm a visual person, so everything I've got to do has got to be all about images. So I'm going to fly through kind of a bit of a history of what I've done and where I've come from, and how I've ended up, and how graffiti has ended up kind of informing the work that I do as an artist, but also the work that I do as a lecturer at the City of Bristol College, working with 16 to 18-year-old young people who are out of education, and what I'm doing with them and how I use artwork with them to move on. So I'll start at the beginning, which is Bristol for me in the early 90s. Skateboarding and rave music was where I was coming from, and all the logos and the kind of the associated graphics and everything that comes with it. I used to spend a lot of time kind of copying these sort of logos, and it taught me a lot about let form and about how to kind of balance things and make things kind of work together, composition. And I started tagging off the back of this. I didn't even know that there was a graffiti subculture. I had no idea of this. I just did it. So yeah, that was my kind of entrance in. You know, it was all about design really. And so, whilst I was tagging, I was at school. I hated school. It didn't work for me. School didn't work for the way that I wanted to kind of do my own thing. It didn't support me in pushing my own ideas. But then I went to college and did study photography, which did exactly the opposite and pushed me to explore my own ideas and do things my own way. So I spent a lot of time not actually in college studying photography, but out on the streets taking photographs. I found myself in halls of fame all the time, and it wasn't long before I started getting really immersed in the graffiti subculture. Meeting friends. How do I move on to the next one? Yeah, and I became part of the fantastic superheroes crew. The FSH crew was big in Bristol. We were kind of almost like a little, almost like the next Wild Bunch, if you like. You know, Phil touched on that. But in the mid-90s, we were a collective of people that were not just about graffiti, but also MCing and DJing and breakdancing and t-shirt designs and all this kind of stuff. We were a collective, collaborative group, really. Very creative group that we used to have a night every week where we would all come together, DJ and MC and sketch together. And really this was about kind of linking skills and linking different genres of kind of street culture, really. And kind of we started really working together. And that's something that still continues now. I still work with the 20th Century Fresco crew. This is us. And we paint big walls. We paint big walls. And I mean, this is something that really, for me, was quite a crucial thing, was working with other people, working collaboratively. I started to realise that tagging, for me, didn't really hold much real, lasting kind of gratification. It was all about working with other people and painting big, large-scale murals. We did lots of different things in order to get our paintings out there. Rather than just kind of working illegally, we would actually go to walls. When we spotted a wall, this was a particular wall down the back of the Spike Island, which had never been painted. That's an artist community, by the way. And we approached the building owner and asked them, can we paint your wall? This is examples of our work. This is the sort of thing we do. Can we paint your wall? And we used to do this regularly. And this was how we got commissioned. You know, this is how we managed to get spaces to paint. And really, it was about, for us, getting that commission and getting the kind of thumbs up to paint the wall meant that we could take our time over it. It didn't matter whether we took 2, 3, 4, 5 days over it. There was no risk involved. It was more relaxed. We had more chance to experiment and work together and work collaboratively and take time on it. So we started really kind of progressing as a collective. We also started gaining more recognition, actually, and from that came commissions. So we started to get commissioned work, you know, getting paid to do what we wanted to do. So kind of some of the stuff that you were talking about, almost we were doing without realising that we were doing it. There was no government intervention. We just went and just got the walls. We found the spaces and we went and painted. We also painted legal spots. Bristol's been kind of good for that. In Bristol we have had lots of big spaces that we can paint. There's pros and cons with designated legal graffiti sites. I won't bother getting into that because that's a whole other discussion. Perhaps we'll have that discussion later. But there's a lot of pros and cons about painting that legal walls. But we did, and this was another place that we could start actually really honing in our skills. These are TCF productions. This is one that we collaborated with a crew called TDM from France. So there was 5 members of TCF and 5 members of TDM. People came from France just to come and paint Bristol, to paint with us, and we went to France and painted Montpellier just to paint with them. So we've got international connections going on. I actually decided that I wanted to take that further, and I went and travelled for a year and a half and went to Australia. And I was accepted by graffiti artists in Australia and New Zealand. People took me out for food, people gave me paint, just because I painted in Bristol. You know. So there's a big, graffiti started showing me that the world's a bigger place than just Bristol. So then I went to university, did my visual art degree, and after finishing that, I decided that I needed some money. I've been living for a long time without any money. So how do you make money from working with art and doing my own thing? So I started doing workshops with young people. I set myself up as a kind of community artist, if you like. These are really old photographs. I was just looking at the dates, some of them 2001. So we're talking a good 10 years ago, some of these pictures. So I was going in to work with young people in and around Bristol, youth centres, youth projects, PRUs, pupil referral units where kids are being kicked out of school, and working on graffiti and using the real New York style of graffiti, and using that as a kind of educational experience for young people. So there's some great images of, you see how old it is, there's Ali G's on there. Yeah. So there's a few examples of workshops we did. This was on the side of a youth centre. And a crucial thing here is actually we've got paid as artists. This was the first time I'd actually been paid, £150 a day. Wow, that was like a week's wage when I was working in a store somewhere. But back then that seemed like it was fantastic work. I loved working with young people. I loved sharing my passion for creativity and using spray paint. And the kids seemed to respond really well to it. So this was, for me, a really positive way of doing things. This is a BMX track. And again, this was a good way of making money, but also being creative. Off of the back of this, the summer holidays finished actually. I finished university, the summer holidays finished and all the funding seems to disappear. There's no funding for young people, so I'm stuck. So I did well that summer. But I actually ended up working for Connections. It was an interesting way. This actually started my career, my professional career, if you like. I've always remained an artist. But I did start to kind of compromise a little bit on doing my own artwork and started actually getting a salaried job where I started to work with young people on positive activities. I was a Connections PA and working with young people doing positive activities. But the sort of young people that I was working with were people that you could say had been excluded from the mainstream. These aren't guys that were going to go into college and go off and get their A-levels and this kind of stuff. These were guys that didn't bother going to school for whatever the social reasons might be. And so this was about providing positive activities, and I used art and photography and music and all these creative things to kind of interact with these young people. Off of the back of working for Connections, I ended up working for the City of Bristol College as a kind of engagement worker with young people. And I strongly used art as a link in to working with young people and giving them positive experiences. So this is an example where the outcome of what we were doing, which was self-portraits, and they're very hard to see because they're quite small. But this was 15 young people that I made self-portraits with, taken from photographs, and then we painted them. And we ended up making an exhibition out of it. So there was a real sense of achievement that they'd actually followed through. They'd learned a new skill, they learned about photography, they learned about how to be a photographer, how to be a model, how to actually transform that into a painting, and then actually display it and invite people down to come and see their work. This was another collaborative piece that I organised through the City of Bristol College and the Arnold Feeney Art Gallery, which is, I guess, it's fair to say, one of the biggest art galleries, contemporary art galleries in Bristol. And we worked with this fellow here, who's Mark Titchener, who's a very well-known and well-respected artist in the kind of contemporary art world, I guess. But he came to work with me and a group of 6 or 7 young people And the work that we created collaboratively went into the British Art Show. So 6 or 7 young people actually kind of helped to produce work which became part of a very well-known, internationally known art festival. So that was very rewarding for them, very rewarding for me, and a very interesting experience for Mark as well. I don't think I'll do it again. So, off the back of this, I started to do more work with the Arts Award, and I just wanted to take you through a little stage of the kind of work that I'm doing more recently with young people. Many of you might have heard of the Arts Award, but it's a way of accrediting young people for getting involved within working within the arts. So there's a few slides here which I'll take you through, which is kind of a little journey that a couple of young people here did. And these are guys that aren't in education. These are guys that are sort of about 17 or 18 years old, and they're not doing anything. So this was a voluntary thing. They didn't have to come and do this. So I've had a few exhibitions as well myself. This was at Colston Hall going back a couple of months ago, just before Christmas, where I displayed some of my recent work. So this is another exhibition I did recently, which is informed by, I'm currently studying art therapy. So this was informed by my experiences of art therapy. So it's a bit deep when things are changing. It's shot in a graveyard. It was actually shot, I took the photograph twice, once at night time, once in the daytime, and once at night time when I dressed in black as a ninja and running around with lights in my hands and jumping over graves and spelling out words and stuff. So again, the work sort of progressed. The reason I'm showing you all this is because all this has come from me tagging on the streets. The work that I do professionally, the work that I do. So it's an interest because talking about sort of middle class and working class. Well, I'm certainly from a working class background, but I guess I've sort of transcended that in a way that we want to use those terminologies, you know, and I'm sort of working in galleries and so on now. So I can see both sides for sure. Okay, so the M-Shed mural. This is what we were commissioned, Andy and I were commissioned to do for the M-Shed at Bristol Museum. This is a piece that has taken influence from the Bristol dockside really, and all of the views that you can see from the new Bristol Museum. I mean, it was quite an honour really to come and ask to paint directly onto the walls of the new museum. And we took the commission. We were very pleased to do the commission and really ran with it. That sort of gives you an idea of scale. So we've got the scaffolding here, and it was quite bleached out with this. But yeah, this is a great big window which looks out, so you kind of have the window here which looks out on many of the elements which are a part of this piece. That scene doesn't really exist. Again, it's made up out of lots of elements from the photography. But again, that will be open in a couple of months, so if you're back in Bristol, have a look here. Oh, okay, so what I wanted to do was kind of sum up, really. Sum up a little bit about, does it work for all young people? No. But it works for a lot of young people. Having done the work that I do, I get told on a regular basis, meeting young people that I haven't met before, that I'm the biggest sellout ever. That I'm no longer a graffiti artist, and that's true. I'm no longer a graffiti artist. I don't do that. I think what we need to do is really look at that term graffiti, and when we're talking about graffiti, we're not just talking about all of these great projects and these sort of museum commissions and whatever. Graffiti. Graffiti is, to take it literally, to mark a surface really illegally. And if we take that word literally, a true graffiti artist does paint illegally, and usually follows the traditions of the birth of the New York graffiti subculture from the late 70s, late 60s and early 70s. And whether that is a tag, or whether that's a big piece, whether it's on a building, or whether it's on a train, or whether it's on a trackside, there is always going to be people that are going to want to follow that route and remain true to the roots of graffiti subculture. That's always going to happen. We're not going to stop that. So let's come back to that question: what came first, the intention to paint or the temptation provided by this lovely clean wall? Well, like I said, it all comes down to how you handle that desire to paint. And there are all, like I said, there's always going to be graffiti artists that will paint illegally despite putting up razor wire, despite CCTV, despite making green walls. There are always going to be people that are going to do that. So whilst I'm absolutely in support of all of this idea of how do we start working with public art, call it street art, call it public art, I'm in full support of doing that. In fact, let's talk about it. Let's get something going. But if it's really the criminal element of graffiti that you're looking to try and stop, I think I need probably need another 15 minutes or half an hour or something. I have some ideas, but leave it at that. All right. Thank you.